Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Encounters, the number one spiritual UFO talk show. PETA, Gloria, everyone, excuse me, Jelly, PETA, Gloria, everyone, excuse me, Jelly, Urban Pures, welcome to the show, Virginia. Welcome, everybody. Agzilla, good to see you. Good to see you, Keith. Everybody out there, please show your support for the show just by pressing the tapping on the screen. That's just a tapping of numbers. So we have 306. We just started. We want to go to, hey, Jersey for Life. Good to see you, sister. Good to see you. Hey, John Jones. So we want to get up technically to about, let's see, what am I saying here? We want to get up to 100,000 likes. So we can do that. And usually if we start now tapping, we'll get there. Sometimes we get there way before 1 a.m. So we'll be on for 2 hours, 11 to 1. What am I saying? And we'll have another great show. Sometimes 2 hours, 11 to 1. What am I saying? And we'll have another great show. Sometimes it's me. Good evening. Cleo, good to see you. Whirlwind, Lavola, sister, good to see you always. Gary Haas in Iowa. Everybody out there, all the good people, and you are all the good people that I know. Many of the new, Elspeth, good to see you. Maeve Raven, Rita, hey, Maeve Raven. Callie, hey, Callie, 716, welcome to the show. Jones, thanks for joining us. Maya, welcome, Maya. Audio file. Jones, thanks for joining us. Maya, welcome, Maya. Audio file, welcome. Memphis Club, good to have you with us. Cleo, good to see you. And just good to see everybody. Robin, welcome, Robin. Whether you're new to the show or not, welcome. This is the place to be. And this is the number one spiritual UFO talk show on social media. Lucas Jackson. This is the number one spiritual UFO talk show on social media. Lucas Jackson, Charlene, Maria, you never know. All our shows are recorded. And I'm just a little bit back on UFO shows. I do have a YouTube channel, Astro Command Spaceship News, and you can watch the show UFO shows. I do have a YouTube channel, Astro Command Spaceship News, and you can watch the shows there. And over 3 years of shows, I have a lot of popcorn, and you can spend a whole week watching all my shows for the last 3 years. That'll be pretty cool. Hey, GR, good to see you. Blanca, hello, good evening. User 685, good evening to you. Sheps5454, welcome. Karen Stevenson, welcome to the show. Sherry, I think it's Chumpaga, I think it's Pat Pringle. Sunflower, welcome to the show. Sherry, I think it's Chumpaga, I think it's Pat Pringle. Sunflower, welcome to the show. Annabelle, welcome. Everybody out there, wherever you are, we're glad to have you with us. This is the kind of show that's welcoming of all people, and I always did that with my radio show, the same thing with interviews and call-ins. We want to make it a friendly place where people can share their contactee experiences, abductions, sightings, talk about the ancient parts of the whole history of all these things. Noosh Noosh, good to see you. We're doing good, Suzanne. I hope you're doing well. It's been a good day. I guess summer is on its way here in New England. It's going to be in the 90s tomorrow. So that's good, you know. Guess who? Welcome to the show. Everybody, Lynn 948. Hey, Lynn. Jennifer, good to see you. Mary Ellen. Hey, Mary Ellen. Everybody out there, wherever you are, please share and like. David, welcome to the show. Jim Eden. David E. B. Tango. I see a bunch of new names. Hey, Tara, good to see you, sister. Dana, everybody out there, hope you had a great day. It's good to see everybody here. So I never know what's going to happen. Hey, Spicy Bells, never know. As you know, I never know what's going to happen. John Joe says, Commander, what does a new person have to talk to you on here? They don't have to, but some of them do. We're just welcoming the new people. If they decide they want to come up and they have a story to tell, they absolutely can if they wish to. If they don't want to, a lot of times people just want to tune in and listen and watch, and that's I do that a lot when I'm not on my own show, on my own thing here. If there's topics I'm interested in, I might sit there and watch the recordings or alive and just sit there and listen to it. 007, good to see you. Hey, Big Daddy, welcome to the show. Workout. Hey, Rogue, thank you for the gift. We appreciate that. Starry Benjamin, thank you very much. Starry, good to see you, Starry. Mimi 12. Oh, how did they come on and talk to me? They press the request button. There's a little icon for guests on TikTok. All the TikTok, anyone who has TikTok, you'll see a guest option. And if you have enough followers, you can go on and talk about your sighting, ancient history of the whole things with Atlantis, or whatever it might be that you're, hey, Ozzy, good to see you. That's how you actually come on to, share your story. Basically. Pandora, good to see you. Everybody coming out there. We're almost at 100 people on here. It's early yet. It's only 9 minutes after 11. Let's keep coming up here. Jackie F., good to see you. Everybody in here. Susan Mary. Oh, you're welcome, John. Willow. So a little bit of background about me. I always like to initiate the background. So for me, quite a long time, for many years. I've been a TV broadcaster many years ago. Quite a long time, for many years. I've been a TV broadcaster many years ago on a cable channel that was pretty big with an intergalactic TV network. That's when VHS was the thing. We'd record the shows, and I did VHS recordings, and they were on us like once a week. I did a show on this big station on cable. On us like once a week. I did a show on this big station on cable in the region in Fairfield County, New Haven County, Upper New Haven County. And evidently the show got some media from New York State. I don't know how that happened. For a while, we took the ferry over from Connecticut, and we filled in for another big show. We did a number of shows on this TV station in Long Island, on a big cable vision station. And so I've had a big love for media, and most of the media, hey, Starseed, good to see her, good to see you. So I have had a long history in the subject. I've written for CmdrAleon, which is a big metaphysical kind of magazine that's been around for a lot of years in Arizona. You've been getting big downloads. Interesting. And if you feel like talking about the downloads tonight, please feel free to Starseed to come up and share what you're getting, because stuff is happening here. Hey, Peggy. GR saying, is anyone else cutting out, or is it just me? Hey, brother, good to see you, Chesno. And thank you for all the great work you're doing. You know what I mean. I appreciate it. And I just want to say I have become incredibly strong in my spirit. And, the way I look at it, whatever happens, I'm just going to get stronger. It's just, and as we are telling the truth, we knew these things eventually were going to happen, but we will just bust the matrix, We're going to do what we're going to do, and we'll become stronger, we'll become bigger. And that's what it's all about. So, enough said about that. It might be a little bit of, with the TikTok technology, it might be doing some stuff tonight. Yeah. Understood. So yeah, there's definitely things happening in the cosmic realm. Yeah. Oh, good, Starseer. Yeah, I think you should come up if you want to, and we'll be happy to have you in there. Metallic FCC, welcome. Linda W. Days, hey Days. I'm just looking at everybody in here coming in. Mary, good to see you. So one of the things we have to realize as we're getting closer and closer to a really major shift. Hey Amanda, good to see you. Thanks for the follow. You're going to start seeing human beings that are not really wanting to see intergalactic contact. Hey Spicy, good to see you. Oh wow. Starseed, we're going to have to bring you up. If you want to come up, I'd be happy to talk about that. FG, thank you for the follow. So we're getting to the point now where we're going to see everything being revealed in human consciousness. We're going to see human beings on the planet act out. The ones that are of the light are going to be of the light. The ones that are not of the light, they're going to show they're not of the light. This is going to be the time when push comes to shove, brothers and sisters. So get ready, because it's happening. And I guarantee you, the commander is going to bust some matrix. I'm definitely going to bust some matrix. It is happening. Elohim, you know that. You know that to be true. You know what? When the light becomes stronger and the fake light tries to blend in with the light, the fake light is going to face some big karma, and that's what's going to happen. I've known this for all these years, that eventually those human beings who are not of the light are going to show themselves. Hey, Star, good to see you. And those who really are of the Christ consciousness are going to be strong in their consciousness, and you will move forward. Hey, Mahansuk, good to see you, brother. And Mahansuk is one of those people too. He stands in his light down there, and I've known Mahansuk for over 3 years, and I do read energy, so he's been a beautiful soul. He's probably Chad's known a few other people like Mahansuk with some of the earlier people I met here on TikTok. Hey, Lavola. Yeah, the fake lights will get banned. And I have my team of people here that are going to now watch what happens. And if they come doing their thing, they will get banned. We'll do it the proper way. We're doing good, you see. We're not falling into any traps. We're going to do it above board the proper way. And then when they get banned, they're going to say, what did I do? But they know what they did. But you don't fool around with encounters nor the commander, because you're going to go down. Pisces, I've met blue aliens when I was younger. Oh, interesting. I would keep me safe from evil spirits. You know what? Let's bring you up, man. All right. Let's see. I would love to talk to you, Pisces girl. I'm pressing the guest request option. If you've never done a live before, press the save button. It'll bring you up on the screen. I've met blue aliens when I was younger. They would keep me safe from evil spirits. I'd love to talk to you. Hey, B. Chris, welcome. I'm an Orkwood hermit. So if you come up, I'm just going to nicely ask you. You don't have to come on a camera. If you just want to come on audio, you don't have to worry about everybody seeing you. You can still be a hermit and just have your voice come through. Is that a good compromise? Tell me. All the good stuff. I mean, that's a great story right there. I see a great story there. Hey, Jay, good to see you. Jojo, Gigi, and Mike. Pierre, good to see you. And again, you have to be over 18 if we have you on the show. No kids on the show, no cursing on the show, no paranormal discussion, no politics, no religion. I get it. I'm in power save mode. You're in power save mode? Okay. Hey, Starseed. Let me I hope to meditate. Yeah, you do great meditations, Mahansuk. People need to check your meditations out. Let's see here. Whoops. Let me see here. I'm very random here, so I'm bringing up, I think, Starseed if she wants to come up here. Starseed, you are welcome to join me here on Encounters. I'd love to hear about the downloads and what's happening on your end if you wish to come up. This is what we do. We get very spontaneous here. That's why I like it. Pisces, that's okay. Hey, what's your name? Welcome, Rose. Now, I have a book here. I'm going to show you guys an incredible video in a few minutes of a recording that was zoomed in on to you a little bit later on the show. Hey, Starseed, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, feeling great. I hope you are too.
Yeah, there's been a lot of energy coming in and it's been intense. So I know that things are ramping up and I imagine most of the people in here have been feeling it.
Mm.
So basically they're just like, "Nope, just relax. This is a rest time because it's almost go time."
Yeah, it is.
So,
It really is.
when we had the solar flares, they finally reached us about 2 days before that. Like that put me on my ass.
Mm-hmm.
For like 2 days. I slept for an entire 2 days.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Oh, yeah. So, and we went out looking to see the Northern Lights up at a farm nearby here, and
Hmm.
when the negative thing goes on the screen, then it was covering the whole New England area to the south towards Maryland at one point, but we didn't see anything. It was just the whatever happened. It went back down. Hey, good to see you, and it went back down. And I'm like, oh man. Then we went up the other night to see the Northern Lights because we knew that the solar energy impact was hitting the Earth. We had a lot. There were a lot of people going to this farm area for. It's a great location. I was looking for spaceships, but everyone else was looking for the Northern Lights.
I
So
was
but it
so
was
mad because I couldn't see them. Because
yeah,
like I live in Las Vegas, and like time, the one
yeah,
time we have clouds
hmm
was then.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like,
It's
okay, so I
crazy.
can physically feel them coming, but I can't get the joy of seeing them. Fine.
Yeah, you know, we will have. And if you're New Englanders, we will have our moment in Southern New England. The universe will provide us with some good solar flares, the right time, and we'll see them. I hope because I saw them in Vermont when I was in college, and they pulsated all over the sky. It was the most beautiful thing. You know.
See, I wish I would have saw it. And I was texting all of my friends. I'm like, can you see it from where you're at? Can you just send me pictures? Like, just send me pictures. That's all I want.
Right. Yeah, and we can look. My better half and I, we can look at we went to a Northern Lights thing on Facebook, and people post when there's going to be Northern Light storms, and you can actually go on the NOAA. There's a solar flare up thing that tells you the negatives and positives energy from the frequencies of the sun, and if it goes down really good, it means you're going to get the Northern Lights. If it goes up, and it tracks where they are around the world, it's pretty interesting. You know. Yeah.
See, I need to move somewhere where I'm gonna see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've only seen them like twice. That one time, I think it was last year when they came down. I could see them from Las Vegas. Like it wasn't like the ribbons or anything like that. Like, but if you took a, you couldn't see it with the naked eye, but if you took a picture of the sky, you could see the pink
Yeah.
in the sky. And
Mm.
that's all I saw. But like the other time was when I was like 18 years old and I was living in Idaho, and that was literally the only time that
Yeah.
I've ever seen them. So I was like, we're uh, like I knew it was going to be big.
Yeah. You know. Now you've had things happen. You were mentioning comments about downloads. Can you explain to that to our audience what has actually happened and what your experiences have been since the last time we've talked?
Oh, okay. So I've decided that like normally when I get the channels when they come through like really really strong, like the one that I had in November of last year, I've just been saving them in voice notes, and I haven't shared them with anybody but like my close people because I'm it's kind of a vulnerability thing to get on in public and start just saying this is what I got. Because
Right.
number one, like I don't want to cause fear. Like if something that I say could like trigger somebody to be afraid, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cause
hmm
panic.
hmm
I also know that like a lot of the other channelers that have come forward and spoke about their channelings, they get haters.
Oh yeah,
They
they're
get
people. They're
they
haters on
people get
TikTok. Let me tell
so
you.
nasty.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, fine, I'm gonna do it. And I did. I did get a hater, and I was like, where? But then they're like, it's okay. This was a lesson for you.
Right. That's right.
This is we're gonna rip the band-aid off real quick, and this is what you'll experience, but now you know how to deal with it. And I was like, that was rude.
Oh yeah. And sometimes, you know what? And in this whole thing, what I said earlier about we'll know who the light people are and who the people that are fake light. When people become haters and they reveal their hate, that means that they are not who they say they are. When people reveal hate, whoever it is, if it's to you, anyone else, including myself in this matter, it just shows the revealing of that negativity that comes out of that human person that shows that they aren't that light person. They aren't that loving person. And they
Hmm.
say, oh, yeah, I'm really loving, but, no buts. Either you are or you're not. When you flip a coin, it's either heads or tails. It's not tough. It's not both. So
Right.
when you've experienced it, you say, why would people just, if they don't like what you're doing or what you're saying, go on, move on, go to a mountain, go on a hike, go to the beach, go on the roller coaster. Nothing's telling you to have to come and jump on anybody. People
Yeah.
just need to just live their lives. And if you don't like what you see, turn the channel. That's all. Turn the
And I
channel.
think too, I think we're coming to a point where they know. They know something's up. They know that there's like something out there, but they're strongly holding on to their belief systems, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
may be. And when you call into question somebody's belief system,
Right.
don't they can either take that into consideration and break down
Right.
their belief system, or they double down and get angry about it, because
Yeah, they do.
that is a place that there's a lot of vulnerability. So like everything that you've based your life on, all of the beliefs and everything that you've done was based on a belief system, and now all of a sudden somebody points out that it's not real, and you can tell, like, that not necessarily that it's not real, but there's more to it. And that scares you because where you're expanding, there's an unknown factor here. And so it makes you a little less unseated
Mm-hmm.
from your thoughts about how things work. And that it is mind-blowing. I
Mm-hmm.
remember going through that myself and like being like, this is, I mean, I've kind of always been open to it, but like programmed
Yeah.
throughout life, like having a certain belief system, thinking this is the way things are, don't question things, and then like
Right.
having that ripped open is kind of disorienting for a lot of people, and some people react with anger or fear.
Yeah,
And
they do.
so, and then like one of my other main reasons for being here, like my energy is an energy that mirrors back to people
Mm-hmm.
things that they have not worked on. And people don't like to see themselves. It makes them uncomfortable if it's something that they don't want to address. And so, me being authentically me, I mirror them, they mirror me,
That's right.
right?
You are the
I,
authentic you. I know that from talking to you. Yeah.
yeah, so I have to look at the situation too and be like, what is this trying to show me about myself? Like, what is this that we're having? So that was one of the things, and it's been about 2 weeks now, and
Mm-hmm.
like now they're just coming out with like, see, it wasn't that bad, and I was like, but it was.
Yeah.
Like,
But you're
it
just
kind of
starting to
was.
let it, yeah, you're letting it go. You're expressing yourself. This is why I say, as we, push comes to shove, we're going to find out who the real people of love and light are and the people that are gullible to just go by what anybody says in terms of, oh, did you hear the rumor about that person or this person? Oh, that person's really not that person. And if you believe that person who says that, why are you believing something that's just a person's energy and verbal energy coming out to you? The one thing people need to do is think for themselves. And the problem is, most people, not all people, a lot of people are susceptible, just like watching a TV channel on ABC News. If the ABC News shows a report and they want it to be a certain way, 90% of those people would say, oh, did you see that thing on the news? Now, whether the news is accurate, they're going to say, oh, this is what happened. Did it really happen? Or is it just a slanted bit of news by the producers of ABC Nightly News? You're going to believe it. Now, if you're independent and you're not going to be susceptible to be controlled by anybody else's thoughts, you have your own thinking, your own consciousness, you're not going to be dragged in, by ABC News's news story, which might be completely untrue. And then they're not showing the real story because the people that run the TV station say, no, you can't broadcast that. You can't do that. On the spiritual plane of cosmic UFO enlightenment, can spiritual aspects be involved in the subject of UFOs? There's a lot of UFO people that might think that you have to be nuts and bolts. Everything has to be nuts and bolts. No, that's not the way it is. In 2025, I don't live by that concept. I've seen the nuts and bolts over the years. I've merged the cosmic spiritual consciousness with the UFO subject because it needs to be dealt with. That's why you can talk about star seeds and UFOs because they are integrated. That's why you can talk about light workers and UFOs because they're integrated. That's why you can talk about life elsewhere in the universe, and that there are people from other planets coming here. Now, in the original levels of the UFO community, if you take it really strict, all they care about is, did you record the sighting? Did you get anything on the sighting? Do you know what's happening at Area 51? Do you know what general said something? Who cares what the general said? I've said it for years. These people are not going to be the influencers of truth. They're going to be the people of deception. They're going to keep everything covered up, and they're going to brainwash the public to believe what they want them to believe. Now, when you go against the grain on this planet and you start speaking your truth, then you're going to have problems, because now you're going against the mass controlled program.
Yeah.
If you go against that controlled program, you're going to be having problems. But you know what? In this day and age, you deal with it, you bust the matrix, you go forward, and you kick some butt. That's what we're here to do.
Yep. And I broke that seal, and so I mean, in a way, it's kind of freeing too, because
Yeah.
it's like having to keep all of that in, and it might be,
Yeah.
and then, um, so the thing that they dropped yesterday was that, so a while ago, I asked them what time was, and they showed me a toroidal loop. And so I was like, okay. And then asked them to explain a little bit more, and they're like, well, you go around the toroidal loop and end up at point zero, the 0 point. And then they showed me the Pisces Vesica symbol.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's come up a whole lot. They've shown me that many, many times. So then they dropped where I was talking about how they had found that parallel universe to ours, except it's moving in the opposite direction in time. So, like, they're going this way, we're coming this way. And we've observed the particles. So, my hypothesis at the time was like, what if because now we're observing those or what if we're observing those particles that changes their behavior? And so, like, it's now crossing wires
Yeah.
for these two universes that are running at opposite time. And then I was like, okay, but a toroidal loop will only, if time to us here, like the concept of time, if it is in a toroidal loop, it's only moving in one direction all the way
Yeah.
around. So I was like, to go in the opposite direction of time, it has to be moving this way. So is
Right.
two toroidal loops stacked on top of each other, and there is a dual toroidal loop where they're stacked on each other. And I was like, okay, I had no idea that this was a thing. And then a long time ago, they gave me that Earth is in a pocket dimension.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like in between. And then they showed me like the picture of a plant cell, how that looks. And like the nucleus would be the Earth. So like we're just sitting in this little pocket in between time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that brought up an interesting thing too. And then I was asking them about, so what happens when we get to the 0 point?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when we get there? When we do the loop back around and we get there, and that's where we're heading now, is back to the 0 point.
Yeah. Interesting.
And they gave me a reference to Mario. So like the levels are set up the same. There may be some things like out of like in different places, or like the colors changed, but like the levels geographically are the same.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So like when we get back around, they just change the settings.
Mm.
So new map, new skins, new objectives, new what was the other thing that they gave me?
Mm. And can you explain also,
Or abilities.
Kelly, to our audience who they are? Because some people may not know who they are that you
Sorry.
communicate with. Yeah, that's all right.
Multi-dimensional beings.
Yeah. So and tell them a little bit of background as we're talking about this. When you had started contacting the multi-dimensional beings.
So they really started coming in about like 2 years ago.
Mm.
And when they started coming in, my physical body was not ready for that. So it took a lot of time to adjust physically to it because the first time that I ever channeled, it took me out for like 3 days. I had a migraine that was astronomical. I felt like somebody had beat the crap out of me,
Mm-hmm.
and just for 3 days I was down for the count. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's different. It's a little better.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes when they do come in, depends on how important the message is, how much they're
Mm-hmm.
pushing for it. I physically am affected, but for the most part, it's kind of normal. So the
Yeah.
first time I
So,
had thrown out the question, what are fourth dimensional beings? And who came in to answer that was the multidimensional beings.
multidimensional, and there's interdimensional beings. There's multidimensional beings. There's a lot. This is the thing with the human brain. Our concept of what type of things are out there is very limited to what we've been taught. There are multidimensional beings, and people say, "What's a multidimensional being? What's an interdimensional being? What's a being that lives in the ocean?" There are so many things we as humans do not understand. And so, Sober's asking, do ETs have their own gods, or do they follow Jesus? So this is the thing. On Earth, we have many people that have their own gods and goddesses and deities or whatever they believe in. With the star people, they don't have gods. There's one universal God that represents all the multiverse, everything. They don't have their own God or their even. They all follow Christ consciousness. In a sense, they all are following Jesus, who's a galactic being of light, which goes against all the religious beliefs on Earth, which I've been busting for years. And so they follow Jesus. So a great question. And they also do not have their own gods. On Earth, we have different religions that have their own gods: Eastern religions, Western religions. We've created gods that don't exist, but we create powers that of gods that don't exist. It's really funny living on a planet where we can create whatever we want, which is a free will universe.
They
So we
become
have great,
egregores.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
they're
egregores.
just aspects of different aspects of humanity.
Yeah,
And
you know,
and it's crazy too because I was asking them about that too. And that's kind of what they told me is that
yeah.
they're now an egregore,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it is you thought that multiple people thought that into existence and gave it certain identity markers for it.
Yeah,
But they're just facets of humanity.
yeah.
So like Thor is strong and controls lightning.
Right, right,
So
right.
like we're both trying to explain things that have happened, like natural phenomenon as
Right.
we evolved, but they still exist. And so I asked them then, like people who do have like pagan views,
Mm-hmm.
when they do call upon these deities, is it just the energy that they're
Right,
pulling in? And yes. So it's not actually like a, I mean, I guess it could be a physical being because like nothing is solid,
right,
but they're pulling in that energy. That's the energy they want to embody. That's the
right.
energy they want in that space. And
And
so that's how they explained it to me.
yeah, and that makes sense. And just Stilber had another question. Do they physically see their God? Ours, and I think he says ours. Is it a spiritual element? So there's not ours or their God. That's the thing. There's not an our God and their God. But I understand the question. There's only that one God. They don't see their God different than the God we have, but they understand the true nature of the God of the universe, the creator, source. It's all related to the same thing. And I said with the indigenous tribes, they look at the God as the creator, the great creator. We, as in the Western civilization, at least we call it God, and people in the cosmic or New Age community could call it source, which is fine. It's all really semantics, still the same thing. So our planet is part of a universal thing with other planetary systems. We're not solely separate from the universe. We can't be. We're just not. We just have been taught to believe that we have a God on the, we have gods on the dollar bill, in God we trust. However that happened, we took the distortion of what God is and put it on that dollar bill, or, $10,000 bill, whatever. The thing is, the true nature of God is very universal, very loving, created everything and anything out there. And there's no end and there's no beginning. And I've talked about this on my radio show a number of years ago when I tried to come with the concept of who created God, which was the biggest mistake I did when I was on my radio show asking that question. I spent many, many weeks knocking my head on who created God. And I came to a conclusion that there's no beginning, there's no end. God
It's a
just
loop.
is. It's a loop. God just is.
Toroidal
There's
loop.
no,
It is
if you
just the
try
energy.
to, if you try to figure out who created God, you're going to be going on that question for a bazillion years. And you're never going to, and then if you do get the answer, the simplest thing that came to me was God just is, except God is just being, God is. God is here, God is there, God is everywhere, and say, oh God, how did you get created? Who created you? Now, when you start saying who created God, you're going to go nuts because you're never going to ever get to that point to understand it. I believe me, I've been there. I tried to do this. I talked about on my radio show, Who Created God? And I just came to the conclusion, God just exists. Who knows how it happened or who created it or did anybody create it? It just happens. It is, It's amazing. Then you don't have to have a headache thinking about in your cosmic journey who created God because you just accept it,
Well, another thing, because I'm watching the comments. So
Yeah, me
another
too.
thing about this whole being here. So these bodies are just a projection.
Mm.
Like our consciousness created this here. So we
Mm-hmm.
literally made an avatar to be here. However, our core selves, our original selves, our source selves
Mm-hmm.
is in fractals.
Right.
You're in many places
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So you are having lives on other planets. You are having lives where you don't have a physical form. You are
Mm-hmm.
having many lives. This is just the one that your consciousness is choosing at this time
Mm.
to be in. So it's split itself into many different forms, and this is the one it's paying attention to. So when I ask this question, are you familiar with Rick and Morty?
Vaguely explain who they are or what that is.
So Rick and Morty is like a cartoon. It's a vulgar cartoon. Funny. It's funny. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an episode where there's like a non-corporeal being. So he's just kind of like a poof of matter. And he calls it a fart. He's like, get your fart and get in the spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how they explained it. So
Mm-hmm.
and then when there's an episode and there's a person that the guy kind of dated, and her name was Unity. And she
Mm-hmm.
could project her consciousness into multiple beings on multiple planets at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. So she was a conscious being that could project.
Mm.
And that's kind of how they explained it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to watch just that episode, it's
Right.
the one where Unity.
Unity.
Um
Interesting.
so so yeah.
And,
So I
and
mean,
someone, go ahead.
whoever
I know.
created the ETs, it's probably the same as we are here now. It's just a
Right.
different gathering of light and sound to
Mm-hmm.
make a physical form to experience that life doing that thing.
And what you're saying also, there's a question here, Sunshine, great question. How do ETs multiply their species? So I can answer that question pretty quickly. The ones that are the space beings that look like us, and even the ones that like the Lyrians and other beings of light, they have families. They procreate, and I'll keep it, just put it this way: they procreate like Earth people do on their own planets. They have kids too, but they're more highly evolved in their consciousness pretty quickly when they're born. So they multiply in terms of families by having relationships with each other. They have their, what we call it, a wife and a husband or whatever, they have they have a wife and they have a husband. We call it wife and husband. They have a mate. They have a relationship that their relationship is forever. Just like now on Earth, relationships aren't always forever. People get divorced, find another mate. But on their planets, they have solid relationships and they do have children. And so they have the procreation just like we do as human beings. Yeah.
I think, okay, so I was just going to point out, like, my brain went somewhere else, but I think,
That's all right.
like, having these discussions for me is helpful
Yeah.
because I don't know if you remember the first time that we talked, I was kind of like all over the place.
I know. Yeah,
Now
I
I'm kind
remember.
of zoned in and can like it's
Yeah.
because there's so much information that I'm like I need to explain this for this context and like
Right.
now that I've been putting the information out, it's like I have there's less for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I can settle down. Just pointing that out. It was fun coming to that real.
And Pixel's saying, "I'm so mad." Pixelization. Why are you so mad? We read all the comments here, so um, we don't miss a comment. We try to see them. But I think what we look at is all the things that we see about life on our planet, how we create life, and how we live amongst each other. We have a very mixed up planet. I mean, it's obvious. We see all kinds of different stuff going, right? And you see it, I see it. A lot of us do it. Um, it's just the way it is, and hopefully things will get better. I think they will. We just have to progress in doing what we're doing. We have to be positive in what we're doing, and we have to take time. If we're in a room with 20 people and we have some knowledge of something regarding what's happening, we can share that knowledge. Can you imagine going into a grade school, yourself or myself or anybody out here, and you have some knowledge? Yeah, we're trying to do that, Moonwalker. I have to try. I couldn't find the thing, but we are going to try to get that fixed. But yeah, so it's just one of those things that's been happening. Oh, Pixel's mad because TikTok has been dropping my followers. I don't know how that works technically. They could be dropping my followers because I'm telling the truth for 3 days.
Been happening to me. So my announcement that I was just gonna start channeling, just start throwing it out there as is,
Yeah,
that went viral. But since I've started releasing the channelings, it's my views have tanked. And so
yeah.
like and so everybody wanted to see the channelings, but now nobody can see the channelings.
Yeah, I wonder if TikTok is. A lot of people have been saying if they're showing real. Yeah, so that could be shadow banned. Yeah, might be. I've only been on for 3 years, but they could be. I think a lot of people since they went down that for 24 hours that time, things changed. You don't have as many people as you used to. They were just like you'd have hundreds of people. Now it seems like I watched other TikToks. The same thing's happening. Their numbers are going down. I don't want to get into that subject, but I am noticing that too. You know,
Yeah.
but we still do what we do, right? We still speak our truth, and we still do our show. You know,
Yeah.
and whoever comes in here comes in here. That's the main thing. Yeah. The Stargazer says we also know where to find you either way. I've got a lot. I mean, I have like almost 100,000 likes on my main account, and almost 100,000 followers, which is it's pretty high up there. So, but I know TikTok is probably doing something to keep those numbers down. You know,
Yeah.
but I'm not worried. I still do the show. Whoever gets here, whoever finds me, and they'll get some cosmic truth. You know.
Yeah. And that's I think it was Lumerian Star Child, she pointed out like that it doesn't matter, it's gonna find who it needs to find. And that is
That's
true.
right. That's
That
the
is
truth.
true. And that could be like the decline in people who are seeing it is kind of ensuring that like what happened does not happen again.
Right. And one thing I've learned is that as I become telling the truth more and more, I'm going to drag out the people that are not of the light, that are going to go after encounters. And I've seen that happening recently. And I get more empowered by that because I was thinking about that meditation today. I said, you know what, I'm going to kick some butt here, and I'm feeling real good now. And all you're doing is empowering me to be who I am and know who you're not. And so what comes around goes around, and when you start throwing negativity in your words, it's going to come back to bite you. And when it does, I'll be sitting there kind of looking at it and saying, ha ha ha, what you tried to throw on me was thrown back in you, and then you have to look at it in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So we always have.
If
So
you're
I look at
being
it
your
this way,
authentic self, nobody
right?
can say shit to you. You can try,
Yeah,
and they're going to try to pull you out of your character, but there's no pulling
that's
you
right.
out of your character because you were already being authentically you.
That's right. You can't make me to be something else. I'm not. Can't say, well, Kaylee, you're not being who you are. Oh, Commander, you're not being who you are. Hey, we're being who we are. And the thing is, if you don't like who we are, turn the channel and go to Channel 8 News or Channel ABC, whatever. You
Go
know,
back to sleep.
all you're doing is giving me more power, not a non egotistical power of the light that I am. And now I'm shining my light even more, and I'm going to do even more because you don't want me to do it. I'm now going to do more. I'm now
Yeah.
going to really bust the matrix. So that's the way it is. And I do. TikTok is definitely doing their thing since they had that 24-hour go down thing, saving TikTok. And I've seen the difference. I've seen people that are not here anymore. They used to be here.
Like I'm
These
getting like violations for really, really
ridiculous things, right? Yeah.
weird things. Like
Yeah.
I posted a picture of my dog. We went camping and I like put her on like the camping grill that they provide, the one that sticks up in the pole. So I put her on that and I was like, dog on a grill. And that got a violation. And it was like, what?
Yeah. No,
And like tons of my videos got muted.
amazing, So I'm taking this person out here. They are definitely not in that positive thing, and they're probably one of the people that are going to be negative with me. So I took that V person out. This is the game I'm not playing. You see, what different with me is when I go live on my show, and it is a show, I will take that person out in 2 seconds. I just did. So watch out. If you're here to kind of be here to try to see what you're going to do, you're going to be blocked. There you go. I just did it. So I've taken 2 people out this evening that I knew weren't here for the right purposes. Yeah, then But that's where, yeah, we don't entertain negativity at all. I'll take the negative people and they get rooted in 2 minutes, man.
No.
You're dealing with the commander. You're not dealing with somebody who's like, oh, okay. It's not me. Not
Right.
me.
And I think you probably went through this too. So, like, being somebody who openly talks about what we talk about,
Yeah,
having people come at you all different directions, all crazy like, and like having to get over the hurdle of taking it personally when it's not. It literally has nothing to do
right.
with you. It only explains what's going on with them
Yeah,
in their own life because they're projecting. And so I think this last one got as bad as it did to teach me lessons on multiple layers.
on multiple layers, right?
Yeah, just like, hey, you should have just ignored that.
Yeah, you learn, When
Yeah,
it
and then
first happens, you say to yourself, what's TikTok doing? Or now there are times when TikTok should be doing their job for the right reasons and not be going after people for the wrong reasons,
yeah,
you know? And
mhm,
lately I've seen good people having problems
yeah.
because I
It's
do
made
watch
me
it.
more since going through all of that. It's made me more solid and who like
Hmm.
knowing who I am. It gave me a
Yeah.
firmer foundation because I'm like, okay, I can do this. The next one that comes at me sideways, I've got it. It's not about me.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I think this is all related. We talk about this because we're coming to a period on our planet when things are coming to a head between negativity and positivity, meaning the cosmic light, which is the truth, and those that are not of the light trying to have a book cover to cover their darkness they'll say they'll have pretty little names. We can use TikTok for that example. Pretty little names on TikTok. Then when they speak, the opposite comes out of their consciousness, the opposite of who they are. And so that's the way the world is. The whole world is like that. So if we look at the microcosm of YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, or the X used to be Twitter, that this whole thing on the social media platform is going to show itself as it is. As we look at billions of people on Earth, we have a lot of people to get their consciousness awake to transform, because no matter what, we are going to have this interaction, right, Kelly? We're going to have a contact. We all know that there's going to be a contact, and we know that. And now, for example, I have a book here that I got many years ago at a wonderful used bookstore on the coast, UFO Contact from Andromeda. You don't see the book here. What, can I show it to you? Let's see here. You kind of see it a little bit, but anyway, it's called. It was written by Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, U.S. Air Force, retired. He met different space beings, and this book was published. It doesn't give me the date. In the early 70s, but this book talks about the Andromedans, who are real. He actually met them, and he has a few pictures in black and white here, and he shows a picture. Let's see if I have it here. He shows pictures of some of their spaceships. They didn't do a lot of photos in these contact ebooks, but let me see here. And here's one of the things here. Here's one of the pictures that kind of showed a little bit, maybe. No, I can't really show it. I'd have to let me take the screen off for a minute, just to give people an idea. I have a lot of contact ebooks here, because I've been involved in the field for a long time. Let me see. We'll just take this out for a minute. This is the name of the book. It's reversed for the camera. It's called UFOs Contact from Andromeda. It's out of print. If you can find it, it's a really, he wrote a lot of books. Here's some pictures he added to the book. And this one here is photos that were, let's see it here, right here. Spaceship. They called them flying saucers in the 60s and 70s, right? And then here's another one that you can see right here. All right. I have some really good historical books from, from
one that I saw it was in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
It was a reoccurring dream that happened a lot. So the dream was we were driving down the road in our hometown. I remember the same car that we had. It was very real, but there was water everywhere. It was very high, and so everything was flooding. And I remember looking out the window and seeing a UFO, but it was kind of bell-shaped.
Mm-hmm.
It was more bell-shaped, and it had a lot of lights on it, the green and red lights. And then I remember getting scared, and I heard, "You're protected, it's okay."
Yeah.
And I had that dream all of the time when I was a little kid.
Wow, yeah.
And now thinking back, I was like, that's how they were communicating with me back then. It was through my dreams.
It's amazing. For me, everything for me is more not seeable, but unless I'm doing a Skywatch, which we're going to do this month. But it's usually, for me, I get downloads, and I listen very carefully when they start communicating with a telepathic communications. I listen to the words. I hear the voice of their words in my head. Then I say, oh. Then I sit down to try to meditate for a minute to try to understand how I can correlate this into verbal words. And do I want to say this on the show, or do I need to sit down and meditate more to figure it out? Because they'll be down and say, okay, you got to stop. The one thing I do know is they will stop when I'm doing earth-based things like going to a supermarket or Trader Joe's or whatever. I get focused on
anytime.
Yeah, I just purposely say I need to be grounded right now because I want to figure out whether I'm buying some grapes, watermelon, or whatever. But then I say, when I'm not driving my car, It's all right to be downloading me, but don't do it when I'm driving because I'm going to be distracted.
They do it to me anytime. I'm
Yeah.
like, there was one time where, like, when it first started, there was one time, and this was when it was still really intense for me physically.
Yeah.
They tried to do it at my work, and I was like, I can't right now. Because, like, if I
Right.
start, like, when I do it, like, my eyes dart everywhere. Like, I look crazy when I
Mm-hmm.
do it. And so when they're trying to do it at work, I was like, I can't do this here, or they're going to think I'm insane. Like, you have to wait until later. And they're like, no, it's
Mm-hmm.
got to be now.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, what do you want to say? They were like, quit your job. And I was like,
Oh, yeah, it's
what do
easy
you
for them to
mean,
say.
quit my
Space
job?
people, space people are easy for them to say, quit your job because they don't have to have any jobs. Where they live, everything is free.
They did not
I love it.
understand the concept of
Yeah.
bills.
They
They
don't.
did
They don't
not
have any
understand that.
concept.
But
Yeah,
it
they
was,
don't.
they were telling me that they were getting ready to fire me. So I was like,
Amazing. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thanks. It was like a month later
Mm-hmm.
that I got fired. I was like,
Right. Lemurian is right. The only planet you have to pay on is, you're right, Lemurian, is Earth.
right. I had to explain to them, like, I was trying really hard. I actually have a recording. Like, it's in the, I don't know if it's in the channelings or conversations with aliens or something like that. I have
Mm-hmm.
like a playlist on my TikTok, but like, I was trying so hard to explain to them like why I needed a job, what money was, like, they were kind of just like, "What? Why would you not have everything that you need?" And I was like,
Right.
"Because this is Earth."
Right.
Okay? Like, it doesn't work like it does there. They're like, why do you not just have housing? Why do you have to pay bills? What are bills?
They
Like,
don't. They don't understand that. The space people, they really don't
no.
understand. I I understand what they feel about that. I mean, if they came to Earth, they say you can't charge these people bills for electricity. Where we come from, there's free electric, there's free communications. We don't use telephones or cell phones. We are just telepathic. We communicate by consciousness, and they
Yeah.
do. They don't. Well, they might have something that is technically advanced. They do to communicate with the people of Earth. They do have a mechanism to do that, but they are all telepathic people. Not they can't verbalize, but I think most people, if they don't know it, the space beings that are of the higher frequencies, they are all telepathic. They all communicate through. So instead of Kaylee and me talking as we're doing now, they'll communicate through consciousness. I heard consciousness without words would communicate. If we were both in the spaceship and in our spacesuit, in our full consciousness of a space being, we'd be talking to each other through telepathy, and that's
Hmm.
what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, the beings that I talk to that live on Kepler 22b,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have names. They just have energetic signatures that are
Yeah.
unique to them. And
And
that's,
where's Kepler? Can you tell us, Kelly, where Kepler 22b is located in the star system or in the
I'm not
solar
even
system?
sure.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just said, you know, it is Kepler 22b. I thought when they were saying Kepler, they were talking about a telescope, like one of those.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh, yeah. I would
thinking
think that
James
too,
Webb, and
right?
I was like, this is really weird. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh my God, it's a planet. Okay.
Yeah. You Googled it, so you found it's a planet. So when you Googled it, where's the location of the planet?
I don't know, honestly.
Hmm.
I don't think I looked at where it was at. I just found the pictures of it. Let me see. I can Google it right now.
Yeah, I think we'd all like to know where Kepler 22b is. And now we're going to know where it is. That'll be interesting. Welcome all the people coming in here. We're having a beautiful show here tonight. My friend Starseer Kelly is on with me here, and we appreciate everybody coming in. Dr. Smith says it's in the Kepler system. Thank you, Dr. Smith. So I think she's going to see that's in the Kepler system. Hey, Daniel, good to see you up in New Brunswick. Good to have you with us.
Okay, the Kepler it is a telescope. Okay, so I wasn't that so I wasn't that far off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's an exoplanet that orbits a G-type star.
Exoplanet that orbits a G-type star, folks.
The first exoplanet found in a habitable zone.
Really
Oh.
interesting. An exoplanet in an habitable zone. So they come from the Kepler system area, correct? It would be. So these beings, are they physical beings or are they just energy? Do you know?
They're physical beings.
They're physical beings, folks.
Mhm.
This is very interesting. We just learned something here.
So
So
they're
it's
physical
saying,
beings and they're so basically they gave me like a rundown of their history.
hmm
So they used to have like terrarian, so the ones on top, and then subterranean.
really interesting.
They had developed where the ones on top could deal with the radiation because the atmosphere is thin and kind of
hmm
cold. And so the
Okay.
subterranean ones were kind of like a bluish purple, and the top ones were more green, like variants
Hmm.
of green.
Interesting.
Um, they're tall and slender, and they
hmm
kind of have like the skin texture of Yoda.
Of Yoda. Okay. We
Yeah.
know what that's like.
Okay.
Interesting. Very interesting.
That a
So
call
it's a
came in.
diverse system, right? And
Yeah.
so there are many different intelligences in the Kepler system on other planets too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. See? You just
So the history of them is like, okay, it gets really complicated and kind of weird to wrap your mind around. So the ones that lived on the surface, they used a type of like crystal that came from a microorganism that acted as what they explained to me as like a nanobot.
a nanobot.
So their thought process, their energy could create things. So most of what they had, like their homes, their vehicles, were made out of that material. It's like a crystalline structure. And so they would just kind of build it up.
Mm,
And so it was like not alive because it was a byproduct of when that organism would die. So that covered the ground. So
mm,
they started growing in population on the surface of this planet.
mm-hmm.
Underneath, they were not able to deal with as much radiation as the topside ones were.
Mm-hmm.
And because they were using so much of this nanoparticle, it kind of took that barrier away from them and affected them.
Oh wow.
Like the heat started to go out and then the radiation started to come in and they were not doing well. So they kind of had like a meeting
Mm-hmm.
with each other and said, "Hey, we're not doing great down here. You need to stop that." So the compromise that they came up with is that they genetically mixed terrarian and subterranean
Interesting.
so that they could withstand the the radiation
The radiation. So
and
they
the
it made
atmosphere. It's a
so it
very
made their
thin, cold atmosphere.
so it made their bodies protect it, that interconnection of relationship made them their male and female species and their children healthier, that they could live in an environment like that. They had to do that, and that was the answer to the
Yeah,
problems they had with the radiation
yeah,
from the atmosphere.
yeah. And
Interesting.
this was like a 2 hour channeling because it was really hard to. I don't have anything to conceptualize this, so they
hmm
kind of had to search to show me things that I would understand.
hmm
It was like we were working through a language barrier
Okay, yeah, yeah, I can understand that.
because this is when I first started channeling. So it was just a matter of like them showing me a picture and then me being like, is that this? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is that this? No. So it ended up being like,
Yeah.
they were very patient, very kind, though, with me. And then they showed me what it felt like they're, if I ever wanted to communicate with them again,
Mm-hmm.
that's the energy I would put out. And it kind of felt like an energy hitting my chest and then
Yeah.
popping out. I
Oh,
don't know how to
interesting.
explain it. Like
You
it's
know,
something that has to be like experienced in person to like
mm-hmm.
explain that. But that's, if I wanted to, that's the call that I give them.
Yeah. And I kind of feel with you, since I've known you, um, the word channeling has many different definitions, but
Yeah.
I think you're really telepathically communicating with them. And I can use the word channeling the telecommunications through consciousness interaction. They're downloading through telepathy with you, and you're channeling it in a different way. It's a different definition on this. Well, in this way, I don't consider you really a channel, as basically a interactive communicator with them.
I
And
feel like a human radio.
like a radio, yeah, like a
I feel
transmitter.
like a human radio.
Transmitter, receiver, receiver, transmitter. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Because
you are.
when they come in, and so I also am super sensitive to the Schumann resonance. Like
Yeah.
whatever's going on with the planet, I can hear it. Like for instance,
Hmm.
right now my skull is very loud. That's what I call it because it's like in my skull. Like
Hmm.
it is radio static.
Like an antenna, like an invisible antenna.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
so I just say
intergalactic.
my
Yeah.
skull is loud.
Yeah.
Because that's all I can explain it as.
Mhm.
So like right now it's very loud. It's been loud for about an hour. So I don't know what's happening. I haven't even looked. I just
Do
know
you
that
think when you
something's
hear
going
like
on.
when you hear the loudness, and for people just tuning in, this is the TV show Encounters, the #1 spiritual UFO talk show here on social media, here on planet Earth, and I'm your host. And we're always busting the matrix, and with Kelly, we're busting the matrix tonight. We're doing things that other things won't do because the nuts and bolts people don't want to talk about this, but we are. So you have this thing happening now where it's like all this energy that's coming to you, and it's like, now when that happens, do you eventually, is that like a predecessor before a major download in your consciousness happens at some point? Would you say?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like, so all of the recent things that have been happening, like volcanoes, earthquakes, I can tell when those are happening
Hmm.
or about to happen because I get like a rocking feeling. Like I'm a
Hmm.
barrel full. This is how I explain it. Like my analogies are so weird, but
We
I
love
feel
them.
like a
You know, there
barrel
you go.
full of water in the back of a truck
Hmm.
going down the road. That's when like earthquakes are happening. When volcanoes are happening, it's kind of like a rise in anxious energy. And then I get really tired for both of them. I get
Hmm.
really tired and then all of a sudden start bouncing off the walls. Like fall asleep with my eyes open,
Hmm.
tired. Um and I'm still kind of trying to track the symptoms so that I can like make sense of it. Like collecting data so that I can explain, I don't know, perfect it, fine tune it, understand it. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll get the high pitch buzzy electrical buzzy in my head when there's like some kind of thing going on with the earth. I get it with solar flares, but like lately it's the skull noise with nausea
Hmm.
and like anxious when they want to tell me something.
Yeah.
So I
That's
don't know, like
interesting.
maybe they're doing that just so that it gets my attention and that it shows me the difference. Maybe I'm a
Yeah.
little hard headed. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, they seem to know what they want to do. Like, it's really interesting as we talk about how they communicate telepathically with you. And over the 3 years, and even before I do TikTok, I know people that are not on social media that have had situations where they're getting downloads, and they'll, when they want to contact you, the space beings of light, they will get your attention. They know how to do it. I think it's different for each individual. I don't think I think it would be boring if it was the same for 20,000 other people. But I think they know the consciousness of the individual human that is now awakened. They know how to tune in on that human frequency and communicate with you, right?
Yeah, they have to be very aggressive because I've got ADHD, raging
Mm.
ADHD. So they have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
aggressive with the hey,
Aggressive, yeah.
pay attention.
Hmm. Pay it, pay attention, Earthling.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah.
the channeling that I did in November
Hmm.
it was like an hour that it was just this high pitch and it felt like it was like oscillating like this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there were two of them and they were just kind of going like this.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is incredibly annoying. So I tried to like ignore it and go about my day. And then I started to get nauseous. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do this today. And then it started getting anxious. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It
Amber,
got really intense to like I was kind of shaking. Like it
yeah.
got that intense because there was just so much energy building up and they're like, "No, we need to tell you this now." And so I was like, "Okay."
Now, before you tell me this, can I go and have a cup of tea? And would you just like to come in my house instead of trying to do this out in outer space? You can sit down on a futon, relax, and we'll have some tea together, and then we can talk. So you don't have to bombard me with all this energy in outer space. You know, if Amber's,
Because then it runs the risk of like
yeah.
because they're trying to push it through. There's layers of
Well, they're trying to
atmosphere.
put.
There's layers
Are
of
they?
bullshit that we have going on.
And also layers of the brain. The brain, our layer of the brain is the biggest blockage because the human brain, when you start becoming the kind of person where you're able to be telepathic with your space people that you're communicating with, the brain is saying, whoa, 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 wait a minute, what are you doing here? You're interfering with me. I'm the brain. I take care of this human being. You can't, but it's really your spiritual self, your higher self, that is the one communicating with the space people. Your brain is like a computer, an Earth-based computer. It's saying, "I'm the computer here. Why don't they communicate with me?" No, you can't do that with her. You know what I mean? It's like the brain sometimes could be the worst object in our head to intergalactic communications. And I've said this for years. I always tell my brain to basically be quiet. I
Yeah,
control my brain. And if everybody tells their brain, so
I've had to
people say,
work
"Oh,
through that.
I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. I think too much." It's your brain thinking too much. It's not you. Your brain is constantly thinking. So if you take control of your brain and say, "As an Earth-based human being, brain, be quiet. I'm getting messages from some space people that's coming through my consciousness." And if the brain says, "No,
Yeah.
you can't communicate with those space people. You need to be this way." No, you don't.
Yeah.
You can be any way you want to be. People don't realize we have control of our brain. Our consciousness goes beyond our brain. It goes with our higher self. When we get into our conscious level of who we are, we're not operating from a brain level like a computer. We're operating from a galactic consciousness, which we all have.
Yeah.
But not everybody is aware of their galactic consciousness because they operate through the brain. They listen to the brain too much.
Yeah. And I've had to work through that too because there's also the
Mm.
ego part
Yeah.
of it. Like the ego is the part of us that keeps us safe.
Hmm.
It was originally there to keep us safe, like, and so we have to fight that because if it's unbalanced, then we have the fear, the doubt, the judgment. And then you have to fight through the human brain, which is like, this isn't logical. I know the answer to
Right.
this. And it's like,
Right.
no, shut up.
Right. That's right.
But also to for me, like people that have like neurodivergency, sitting down and meditating, because I know for me, like sitting down quietly meditating feels like torture.
Hmm.
So what I do is I go for walks or I do the dishes. Anything that keeps my human brain occupied doing something else on autopilot, something you've done a
Hmm.
thousand times, then that's when I can tune it out
Hmm.
and connect beyond that.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people, I think mainstream talks about meditation like it has to be this like go into a room in silence
Right.
and sit. But some of our brains are just not designed to do that. Like some of us,
Right.
it freaks us out. Like guided meditations, absolutely not. Will not do that.
Yeah.
I can't do it because then I'm thinking like, oh shit, I missed that mark. Oh, I
Right.
can't.
But
I'm thinking
but
about
you
this.
can't. But Kelly, I think for you, you can do it. Like for me, it depends where I am. Like if I'm walking and sitting, I'm in, like say, going the Mohawk Trail in Massachusetts, and I know there's this place I love to go to, and then there's a river going downstream, and I just see the trees and hear the birds. I can just right there, because that's where I want to be. If I'm where I want to be, then it's easier to meditate. If I'm not where I want to be, then I can't force myself to meditate. I don't think anybody could. So when we're in the place we want to be, that's when just take that spot. It doesn't matter where it is. If it's, as long as it's not crazy and noisy, if that's the space where you want to be at, that little, brook or lake or in the beach that's empty somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean or whatever, or in the Indian Ocean, you go to your spot and don't be weirded out and you feel, oh, this is where I want to do it. And your consciousness will take over and do it. So, and that is really key. It's good we're talking about this because this is really key to the whole subject is consciousness. And if consciousness doesn't change, it doesn't matter if 10,000 space people come here and say, greetings, Earthlings. If 10,000 people do not change their consciousness, how are the 10,000 people going to react when space people land in their spaceships on Earth? How are we going to react? You know?
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, to be honest. And I think
Yeah, me too.
the consensus from the ones that I've talked to, yeah, that's what they're worried about too, because human beings are irrational when they're scared. It's
Right.
just a thing. It's just our brains the logic part shuts off and we just start going berserk. Like we don't think about things. Like
Hmm.
we see this like in the National Guard, like they're like when you're rescuing people and you got to punch them in the face
Yeah.
because they're going to try to drown you to just get out of the water. Like they're not logically thinking. And so I think with our propensity for violence,
Right. On this planet. Yeah.
they're
We
they're
do. We still
kind
have
of
it. Yeah.
hesitant to come in here and be like, "Hey guys," cuz we're just going to freak out.
Right.
But I think the more and more we're exposed to this, and maybe that's why they're doing it. Maybe that's why they're just dropping little hints here and there to like desensitize us from the fact that they are going to come.
Hmm.
And so I think that that's what they're doing, but I kind of get I got the message that like people are in for a rude awakening soon.
From your space contacts from the Kepler star system, correct?
I don't know if it's them or not. And then also I think this kind of hit me the other day, but some of this information, everybody's starting to talk about the Anunnaki.
Yeah, it's funny how everybody now wants and probably on YouTube too. Everyone's talking about the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki happen to be not separate from the grouping of the star people that are here to help the Earth. The Anunnaki weren't that way in their early incarnation, but they did have some major transformations. Just like a person who bullies a kid in high school, and then when the kid gets out of high school, they see them 2 years later after being in college or whatever. That person is totally transformed. He's not the bully anymore. He's a different person.
Like,
So it
yeah,
just
that's
people
kind of
can
how
change.
I think that they are, and I think that that's kind of
Yeah,
who I've been talking to.
maybe. So you
Because
you
I
not
don't
only
even ask sometimes.
you
I
should
don't even
ask.
ask. I just like, okay, that resonates.
Yeah. Yeah, you should definitely, I would say, Kelly, you should definitely make a note to ask, just for the
Yes.
sake of that one little word. Which ones are you?
Yeah, like who are you?
Who
Even.
are you? Yeah. I want to show everybody while we're on here a really, really cool thing. I'm going to put it on the screen and turn my green screen off. You're going to love this. It's narrated, and this was taken May 20th. I think it was in Tucson, Arizona. And check this out, folks. This is where my friend over UFO Sightings Daily in the
Oh,
Philippines.
I have to show you.
He
I was in Flagstaff. I got to show you this though.
Okay.
I was in Flagstaff and I was camping and I looked up in the sky and I was like, some asshole's got a spotlight going.
Hmm.
It wasn't a spotlight because other people saw it too in other parts of the world.
Really?
Yeah, okay,
What?
I have to show you.
Okay, you show me your thing. We're gonna have a little bit of UFO spaceship show and tell. I'm gonna show you something here. It's gonna blow your minds. We're gonna do our UFO video segment here tonight. Uh, and if anybody has other video footage you want to come up here, please do. Dr. Smith, we're definitely gonna. Yeah, this is a really good video. It's gonna blow your mind. This is exactly one of these videos that you want to see. I'll be posting it. I'm gonna try to post it on my main page here. I'm gonna try to do that if I can. Hey, Skip the Grace, good to see you, sister. Hope all is well. So we're gonna show. I'm gonna have Starseer show her thing, and then I'm gonna show the one I got here from my friend on YouTube, who I've known for a lot of years. Let's see here.
So this was the light that I saw, and so you
Hmm.
can see why I thought it was a spotlight, but it was
Hmm.
really bright when I saw it, and then after a while, it got dimmer and
Okay.
then was gone. So it
Oh
was like
wow, that's really wild, huh?
15 to 20 minutes that was in the sky.
It almost looked like a beam of light.
Yeah,
Was it physically in the atmosphere, or was it? It looks like it's straight down to the ground.
right. And I think it was in the atmosphere because they saw it in Colorado too.
Really?
Yeah. And then nobody's
Yeah.
talking about it. And
Is
I'm
there?
like, no,
Is
but
there?
this,
Did anybody capture any video footage of it? I would suppose with all the
I
people
should
seeing
have,
it.
I just took a picture of it and I was like, some butthole's got his spotlight going in the forest or
Yeah,
whatever. It
right.
wasn't a spotlight. And so I didn't even take it seriously and I caught sky phenomena.
Now check this out. I want everyone to see this. This is going to blow your mind. I feel it's like show and tell night here on Encounters. So let me do this here. Check this out. All right. I'm going to turn the light off here because
That was after 10, 15 minutes. It
okay, I'll
started
show you
going down
this
like
now.
that, like the
Check
tail.
this. Check this out here. This is in outside of Phoenix, Arizona, and this is actually you're going to see, and he'll enhance the video. I'm going to keep it like this. You're going to see, and he'll actually tell you there. You can see beings inside this. Uh, you'll start seeing beings inside this ship. It's pretty big, and you can see movement. The dark area, you can see movement inside. So if you look really carefully, there is definitely movement.
It's like an
Uh,
egg, like the
yeah,
egg that
like
we
a
just
large
found.
egg-shaped craft. Yeah, watch this. And anybody who can look at this, let me see here. He'll change the contrast so you can see it better. Let's see where it was really right. Okay, so here it is. See the contrast? Now you can start seeing movement in the center part. You can see people moving. He says he noticed when this was recorded about 3 or 4 different type beings moving. You see how there's movement in the center of the dark part?
It's like a chair, like they're sitting in a chair.
There's definitely like a window in that thing, and it's a circular egg-shaped object. And he said he saw like 3 or 4 people moving inside this thing. Okay, let me turn the light on. That's my show and tell here. Let me just do this here. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was in Phoenix, Arizona, on May 20th. That was only recorded last month, and he got a copy of it. I like to show good video on the show here. Um, and that kind of stuff you're never going to see on the national news in the United States. If they ever showed that on the national news, we have top story weird UFO craft seen over Phoenix, Arizona. And if they showed something like that, if they showed that thing, do you think the population of the United States would start saying, what's going on here? Yeah, they would. But that's why you don't see a lot of UFO video footage and news that people are recording all over the world, because they start showing these in different countries. People are going to start looking at that and say, what's going on here on planet Earth? And who are those things up there? That, they basically do everything to censor that type of information. Thank God here, I will show you. It's just Kaylee showed you that picture. And I always encourage people to have their cameras ready to record something that is very unusual. It could be something like that. It could be an egg-shaped object. It could be oval, a flying saucer type craft. Record it. Always have your phones, charged up. You know, my phone has a really not good camera, so I'm getting another phone with a better camera. But have those things with you all the time. If you're driving somewhere, have your cell phone ready to take pictures or video. And I said this before, we're the ones who are disclosure. If we don't have our cameras ready, we're not going to wait for 20 years for the Pentagon to release another video from the Air Force, because their stuff was big bogus. When you're in the early days when the Air Force, the Pentagon released these videos from air pilots and jets, and they had little black objects they're recording on their radar screen. There's better stuff coming on here, like I just showed you, versus what the Air Force is willing to release. You know?
I wish that I would have understood what this was so I could take a time lapse video.
Yeah.
But there's one, if you search it, somebody did. They caught it on a traffic camera. Like a weather camera. And you can see it. It's the same one, but it's from Colorado. And here I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, when this happened. And I thought it was somebody doing weird things in the forest. I don't know. There was a lot of weird happenings that night anyway. And this had to have shown up within 30 minutes, because we were staring at the sky, counting the Starlink satellites, watching them go by.
Okay.
And then we're like, okay, well, I guess we're going to go to bed. And then all the lights turned out, and I looked up and I saw this. And I was like,
that thing is, the first impressions are
that it's
because you're looking in this, it's in the skylight, but it looks like it's the center of its energy. This is my theory, is coming from the ground and shooting up into the stars or to our atmosphere. So whatever
That's
it
what
is,
it looked like. Yeah.
It looked like, so could it have been something on the ground level in a remote area shooting straight up that was, and who knows what it was? I don't know. I just know it looks very interesting.
Yeah. And then after 15, 20 minutes, maybe, I don't know. It was, I'll show you the other picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And while she's doing that, you're watching Encounters. We're here till 1 a.m. And
so that's after 15, 20 minutes. It looked like that.
So did it thin out its light from what it was before?
Yeah, it got less. It's kind of it, to me, in my brain, logically, it's like a comet tail, really close to Earth. And if you were going to come here, why didn't you announce yourself to me?
Right.
Hey, look up. Why would you do, if it was them?
Right. You see, this is the thing. With our concept of reality, folks, our concept of the way spaceships from other worlds should come to us or whatever they're doing, we have preconceived notions of what we should be looking for. And I think we need to, it's just because of our schooling. Our schools told us growing up as a kid in the 60s or whatever, they had preconceived notions of the way things should be scientifically in terms of space science. But if we to let go of what we've been taught about the way spaceships should be or whatever it is out there, we might learn something. So I think what we have to do, and my theory is that we have to, or my thinking is we need to let go of all the things that it should look like, what a spaceship should look like, and realize that we have no idea what all these different spaceships look like from other planets or how they move. And once we let go and allow ourselves to say, okay, that was really weird. I just saw that thing like you're showing. I don't know what it is. And then that's the honest thing. We don't know what it is. We're trying to figure it out. Then we have a discussion about it. We still don't know what it is, but we can have a theory of what it is, right? Kelly, so when we saw it really bright, it looks like from that perception, you can look at the perception reality. Is it in space looking like it's coming down, or is it from the ground up shooting energy back up into space?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, and I wish that I would have gotten a time lapse of it.
Yeah,
Like, I thought it was just somebody being a turd, an inconsiderate turd in the
but then when you,
forest.
but then when you thought about it, you started waking up to the fact that hey, other people were seeing this thing. Who would have that much light power to, unless they had one of those big lights that they
Big
shoot up in the sky?
spotlights. Yeah.
And it didn't look like a weak spotlight because I've seen those, and
Yeah.
they move, they rotate in the atmosphere, like you'll see them during the summertime. They'll have these lights near a festival or something, and they're moving in the sky, and they're Earth-based lights from a technical hookup to
Yeah.
electricity. You know.
Because we have one of those giant spotlights on the top of the Luxor here in Las Vegas.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it doesn't look like that,
Yeah.
which should have indicated to me like this is something. I don't know. I don't but I made everybody like I was like everybody turn your lights off. We're looking at the sky. What is that?
Yeah. It's just I think we're in for a lot of interesting learning experiences in the subject. Um, And I think what we do perceive as reality in our Earth-based camera, my cat's coming in here. Hey there, Missy. Um, she's looking at me. You want to come on the camera? Yeah, you want to see people? Sometimes I bring the cat on, but it's just our perception of reality that we need to expand. Thank you, Jersey for Life. I appreciate that. We need to expand our understanding of the universe by understanding that if we think that the space people have to have certain types, now we know that there are probably 15 to 20 different types. There was a chart I had many years ago that showed like a flying saucer type craft, a diamond shaped spaceship. Now in Connecticut, many years ago, we had a whole group of people. We were up in Terryville, Connecticut. This was back in the 90s. And we were at, they had, they were they're living on a farm. There were cows there. They had a big barn. They had this group from, that played music. They were from South America. And we were all hanging out. And across the way, I saw, and I started telling my other friends there, I said, I see a diamond shaped spaceship. And I'm looking across the way, less than a mile from the person's farm. I see this thing angled, like beautiful, beautiful lights, a diamond shaped lit up craft, like a bluish colored craft. And I'm watching this thing. I've never told this story here, but I'm telling it now. Um, I said, man, do you see that? So I got two or three of the people to look, and they were looking at it. I said, that's crazy. We saw the thing hovering there from where we were, and it took off at an angle and just disappeared into space. We watched it just go. Then we went out there. We went out there later. We came back up there over the area, and we felt like we saw a blue energy of light above us, like really low, like a translucent light. And we one of our people is pretty tuned in. Said that it seems like the spaceship is basically cloaked, but we saw this light energy transference of light blue. This is in Terryville, Connecticut, in the early '90s. I never told this story, but I knew for sure that they were very advanced light beings, and this ship was totally beautiful, diamond shaped, lit up like a firecracker. And when we got to the area, we saw there were a couple of country homes. It wasn't like it was like country homes along this little lake area or whatever, and that's where the ship was. And we walked on the trail and got there, and it was we felt the energy. It was like there's something going on there, and this is where they are, and they took off. I didn't have a camera to record it back then. I didn't have it happened so quickly. We were just watching it. We had 20 people at this gathering on the farm, and it was quite a beautiful experience, to behold. So I just thought of that now as we're looking at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured you want to hear that story. Well, it's been quite a night here so far.
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly, I want to thank you, man, for being on here. You've been a great guest, and you always are a good guest, and you always have good information. So I really want to thank you, sister, for being here.
Yeah, it's a good platform for me to speak. So I appreciate being able to get up here in a group of like-minded people who aren't going to who aren't gonna just call me insane.
You're not insane. You know what I love about this show? For the last 3 years, anytime I have a guest up here, they say, you're going to think I'm crazy or I'm insane or this. I said, and then I have to tell them, knock that out of your consciousness because you know how many hundreds of people have told me this in 3 years? You know, I think, Amanda, you're going to think I'm crazy, but
Yeah.
you're not crazy. You're not insane. If anything, you are the one that is the opposite of the insanity.
Yes.
You know,
So okay, everybody was talking earlier about when the UFOs are gonna come. And so I asked, it was when back in November when they were doing all the Dior bags.
mhm.
I said, "Is that you?" And they said, "No. You'll know it's us by the flash."
Interesting.
That's
You
this
know, and
it?
the thing about the Dior bags, and you know, I'm not afraid to say the word, the drones that were used, those were partly our secret operations of our own military, and there were things happening, people, and I know this clearly from watching a lot of the videos people posted. I had guests on here showing the drones chasing orbs in the sky above us, and the orbs are the spacecraft from outer space. The drones were the military trying to observe them or actually pursue them. And then we even had military jets going after the orbs, these big orbs in our atmosphere. And these orbs were here to get us prepared for something way bigger. These orbs were sent. You see, the space people are smart. They're smart. They don't want to bring a spaceship in here and have military jets, you know,
Yeah.
going in. We're going to shoot a bomb towards your or missile towards your spaceship, which is the way the military would think about this in their scenario. But the orbs all over the world, whether it was England or whether it was U.S. or China, Canada, these orbs appeared everywhere last year, and they're still appearing. I think that was done to get us prepared for the fact we are here,
Yeah, that's
and this is
the
only the
testing,
beginning. They're,
sensitizing.
te- yeah, and also testing our consciousness. That's really key. They're testing to see how we're going to react to them.
Yeah.
And when the bigger things happen, like the real big spaceships start happening, and I will say this, there's going to be a time, you know, as we're all here now, no matter what your age is, there's going to be a time, brothers and sisters, when these ships are going to uncloak themselves. There are ships right now, whether you believe me or not, doesn't matter to me anyway, because I don't care. There are ships right now that are cloaked all over the world. They're cloaked. They cannot be detected by any military radar. Now, you might think that's impossible, but if you say it's impossible, then you're thinking 3D. If you know it's possible, then you're thinking like a space consciousness where they can do anything they want beyond our technology.
Yeah. Well,
And
and the
that
cloaking
they can.
devices provide it's a cloaking device to us because we don't have the technology to recognize that.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we're looking for something made of steel and they've got it made out of like a certain type of plastic, we can't pick it up. It's kind of the same thing.
Right.
And
It's
then
absolutely true.
also I've been getting a lot of messages about the sun. The sun is
What are your contacts saying telepathically to you about the sun?
they just said the sun is going to be different. The sun is different. And I'm like, okay, so it's changing? Like what they won't say a whole lot, but then we started getting all of those really big solar flares, rapid
Mm-hmm.
fire. And I'm like, okay, are you telling me that the star is going to change into a different one? Because, like, if that's the case, that's not good. And they're like, no, that's not it. It's just going to change.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, okay. So it's kind of like they just tell me just enough,
Yeah.
but it's
Someone's asking
something
me
about the sun.
Ellen Cherry Charles says, why would you not provide infallible proof of the cloaked ships? So a ship is cloaked, and I've seen them, and I think other people here in the audience have seen cloaked ships. And if you've seen cloaked ships, please tell me and let this person, Ellen Cherry, know that I'm not the only one that's seen them. If you've seen the energy of the cloaked ships, and I've seen partly cloaked ships. Anybody in here, wherever you are in the world, have you seen cloaked spaceships? So this person knows that I'm not the only one, or Starseer's not the only one. How many people have seen cloaked spaceships? That's how we're going to answer your question.
And sometimes you can just feel that they're there. Like
Yeah,
it's
you can
like an
feel the energy.
object that it's like a, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like when somebody walks into the room and they're very quiet, but you can just feel that they're there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm answering that person's
Phenomena of being
question.
like
Per,
somebody staring
yeah.
at you, but you can't see
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah. So I'm answering a person's question by allowing other people to say it. So now the person that asked the question, more than 20 people have seen cloaked spaceships. Now, if you want to know what a cloaked spaceship is, you can feel the energy. I felt the energy of a ship when I'm in the countryside somewhere. I know the ship is right up there, right at that spot. I can't totally see it, but I know it's a cloaked spaceship. I know it exists. Um, and I'm going to have Alcove come up and join us too. So we're going to bring Alcove up. We have Kaylee, myself, Alcove,
Oh, I better
and
find that.
let's bring Alcove up here. Hopefully TikTok works well. It's spinning. I hope it doesn't stop. I hope it stops spinning. I don't have that much control. Hey, how you doing, brother? Alcove? Hello? I don't know if they wanted to come up or what. Alcove, you there? All
I've
right.
noticed when I start talking about this in lives that
Yeah.
like things get really glitchy.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes TikTok puts people in my guest option. I said I didn't mean to come up, so I don't know if Alcove wanted to come up or what happened, but yeah. So based on that person's question, we have a lot of some people didn't see any cloak ships yet, but a lot of people in my audience have seen cloak ships. I've seen cloud ships, so um, I will, Tara, definitely. I've seen cloud ships over the years. I mean, I remember in Connecticut one day, more than one time, the cloud ships look very different from regular clouds, folks. And maybe some of you have experienced this. The cloud ships look very defined, and they look like a spaceship. Some people call them lenticular clouds. I've seen lenticular clouds, but these aren't lenticular because there's a certain energy coming from them that is totally different than a lenticular cloud, which you don't feel anything. These clouds are really different. I think Alco was trying to come up before. Alco, did you want to come up? Because I tried to bring in here. Let's see. But anyway, uh, Sunjoy says, what's that big one with all them small lights that take over the whole neighborhood, block the atmosphere? I guess that's what the person's asking. If you can be more more specific. Alcove, how you doing?
Okay, this is Alcove.
How you doing? Yeah, I
Yes, I've
brought you
got
up.
some
You were trying to
cloud
come up before,
pictures.
right? Good evening, my friend. And what did you want to say?
I can't hear well enough.
Oh,
They're
okay.
very voices are
Can
very
you hear?
faint suddenly. This isn't working well.
Oh, okay. Did you have your volume up on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound pretty good to us over here. I wish that you can hear us better.
Okay, I turned it all the way up and I can hear a little better. It's not working right.
Okay. No, that
Yeah,
happens. That happens on
I'm seeing
TikTok.
lots of
So
cloud.
lots of cloud.
Yeah, I've got some very impressive cloud pictures, but they're not on this phone.
Okay.
Uh, I should email those to you if I can find them. Uh, but yeah, there's something definitely more than just lenticular clouds. They're massive for one thing, and the space around the cloud in the atmosphere, surrounding fragments of clouds are sort of shaped, like there's a field around it. The other
Hmm.
clouds around it are perturbed, uh, and uh, they they stay there a long time, and
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
you can tell. And the energy is very different, right, Alco? Between a lenticular cloud and a what is called a cloaked spaceship, which creates an atmosphere to look like a cloud, but it's not that puffy cloud. It's a very well-defined type of cloaked spaceship.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
interesting.
there are definitely cloud pictures that suggest
Hmm.
definite ship-like shapes or
Yeah.
some kind of infrastructure that's very ephemeral that might be used by some kind of entities. Uh, Thing is, I live in Arlington, Washington, and there's
Okay.
a municipal airport here, and I sometimes see weird aircraft around.
Hmm.
But I've also had some dreams about it too, in which I was taken up in a plane
Hmm.
and it went up to a cloud city, like one of these big formations in the cloud, and landed.
Hmm.
And we were received by some kind of officials, but most of it I can't remember.
So this is in alcoves. So you were taken. This is interesting. Everybody, did you hear what he just said? Yeah, and I listen to everything with my earpods on here. You were taken up into a city in the clouds, correct?
Yeah, that's what it appeared to be. It was like an airstrip on this big flat cloud, only it was
Hmm.
solid enough to land on with a Cessna plane.
Would it be like? Let me show you a picture of an actual city in the clouds, and tell me if it's like this. So this is just going to give you. So I'm putting this in the screen here. Let me. Did it? Was that kind of like that? That's an actual
Somewhat
real
like that.
photograph.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
And that cloud city, they do exist around our planet. So I'm showing this is a real picture, um, and it is a cloud city. And in that cloud city, the space people live there, and then when they're doing their mission work, they go back on the ships. But that then they want to get a little downtime. There are cloud cities around the planet. This is a national cloud city, and you're not going to see this shown by UFO people on social media. I don't think anybody has ever seen this, and it is a cloud city. So when you're talking about your experience, it's very relatable to your story. I had to show this picture since you brought up the cloud city. They do exist, folks. They are very well hidden in the clouds, and they are not something that people see. So I wanted to show that. Let me go back to my other thing here. Um, yeah. So when you're in the cloud city, how long were you in the cloud city when you were taken off planet?
Well, from what I could remember, it was just 15 or 20 minutes when I was
Mm.
kind of on this landing area and these other people were coming out.
Hmm.
And
Can you describe what the people coming out looked like?
they were sort of shadowy. They were just like silhouettes. They seemed to be
Silhouettes. Okay.
normal height people, but they were
Hmm.
silhouettes. They were just guys wearing suits or just work clothes or
Hmm.
something, but
Hmm.
just mostly just gray silhouettes against white.
Interesting. Very interesting. And
Uh,
did you feel like it was a positive thing? They were trying to show you some stuff. What happened with that?
they were going to take me inside somewhere, but for some reason I can't remember much. But
Hmm.
I do remember hearing some kind of a suggestion, whether I picked it up telepathically or actually heard it in words as comments
Hmm.
from the people that were coming up with me. They said something about one of these times I would just stay there and not come back down. And
Really? So they were saying, and what year did this happen? When did this happen?
that was uh, late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
And when you had this, have you had more experiences with these beings since then?
Well, there were just brief flashes like that in some
Hmm.
other dreams too, but
Hmm.
nothing since that one that dwelled on it that much.
Okay. Interesting.
There
Very
are
interesting, Alco.
suggestions that it's kind of still hanging there. It
Hmm.
made enough of an impression on me that I do think about it a lot, almost
Hmm.
every day.
Hmm. Have you tried to? We always talk about how, like Kelly and I have talked about it, about telepathy. Do you know how to use your consciousness to try to communicate with them?
I've done some of that.
You have.
I've tried. I've been very open to telepathy, and I've had
Hmm.
friends that have shared experiences with that a lot.
Oh,
And
interesting. So you do have that. You have that knowledge of telepathy. We all know what that is. So have you thought about trying, if possible, to communicate with them and get more knowledge of who they are?
yeah, I've been thinking about it. Yeah,
Hmm.
I would.
Yeah. No, I certainly would suggest, after hearing your story, I would suggest go for it.
Well, there is one contact at my church that's also one of my bosses at my little part-time job now. I figured out he was one of the people in the dream that owned the plane that took us up
Really.
there. And
So this plane in the dream, this plane took you to that city.
yeah,
So was the plane possibly in the dream to look like a plane, but was basically a spaceship?
well, it seemed to be an
Hmm.
ordinary Cessna type plane. It started
Interesting.
off at the airport and we just went up and up and up. And
Yeah, and I'm not trying to change the story, but I'm thinking as you're telling it, it could be that they want you to think that you're in a conventional plane, but you actually were in a small spaceship. And
I'll,
this is my
I'll,
theory.
I'll consider that. Thank you
Yeah,
for
it's my
that.
theory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be thinking about that.
And speaking of thinking, people, we're at 87.1. We need to get to 100,000 by 1 o'clock. If everybody will tap on the screen, there's 262 people. We get to 100,000. The top screen, you see it's 87.2. That number only goes up if you tap the screen where it says the little blue icon and then the number 87.6. If everybody taps, I would like to get us in the next 10 minutes at over 100,000. Can we do it? Yes, we can. There you
Now,
go.
this man that owns the plane,
Hmm.
one day just out of the blue, made this really cryptic remark to me one day at church.
Hmm.
And he said he was going to take me to a special place in Mexico one of these days.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So that sounds like that's going to be interesting. And he must know have a reason why it's a very specific location, right?
yeah. And everybody likes to go to, when they mention a vacation in Mexico, they usually think of some place like Cancun or something like
Yeah,
that, or a
yeah.
resort. But I got a picture of Copper Canyon, and
And explain to us where Copper Canyon is for our worldwide audience. What is Copper Canyon?
that's the biggest canyon system in the world. It goes from approximately northeast of Mazatlan on the west coast up towards into the state of Chihuahua to the
Hmm.
northeast from there. Almost
Oh wow.
spans the entire Mexican subcontinent. Uh,
Hmm.
and
Interesting.
there's one place where two rivers sort of meet down in this very low valley where this very high promontory, it's over 9,000 feet up on top, looks down
Oh
upon
wow.
this very low place in the valley. And
Does
uh,
that place feel like a special? Do you feel like a special energy when you go there?
I haven't been there in person.
Okay.
I've seen pictures. When I worked in Arizona Game and Fish Department, we had a crew that did go there and took a lot of pictures that made a big
Yeah.
impression on me. But,
Interesting. Well, Alcove, I want to thank you, brother, for coming up here.
yeah,
You're amazing story, and also Kaylee, my friend Kaylee, for coming up here. I really want to, and for you, definitely want to thank you, man, for coming up here and sharing for the first time this kind of stuff. I really appreciate, and the space city and the clouds. I thank you for that story too. Absolutely.
of course, technically that was a dream. See, I was trained to.
Technically,
I've been trying to change my thinking since you've been telling us about this. That
hmm, yeah.
these dreams aren't just dreams, and
They
shouldn't be
aren't.
explained away like they're just
No,
kids'
when you have
dreams.
when you have a dream like that, I call it the cosmic dream, which is not the dream. When you have a
Yeah.
dream with a snowman running around with a couple of carrots in his hand, throwing them, and then they turn into bubble gum, that's just a regular dream. When you have, thank you, we've made 102,800, and we've had 4,000 viewers on here since 11, a little after 11 p.m. tonight. Over 4,000 people at some point spent some time in us, and that's a lot of people. So this show, that's I can look at the numbers. This show has always been popular, and even though it's 269, we've had 4,000 people since 11. A little after 2 minutes after 11, 3 minutes 11. I've tracked the numbers, and so I just appreciate all the people out there, the thousands of you that have come here to the show to watch a show that is about what's going on here. Hey, Alco, I want to thank you, man, for being here. And I just want to say the cosmic dream, which you've learned about on my Alco, is basically a reality. The regular dream is just a dream. When you can have detail of a city in a cloud, you're having a reality dream, which is basically you in the altered state of consciousness are being taken somewhere. Very interesting. All right. Any last comments, Starseer?
Thank you.
Um,
All right.
no,
Alco,
but
take
I
care, my
mean,
friend.
if I get any more channelings, I'm gonna post them on my
Yeah,
TikTok.
definitely.
The ones that are there, they're in a playlist from like
Hmm.
all the ones that I got. Like, I'm not one of those ones that like does a daily channeling. They only come in when they come in, so it's
Hmm.
kind of
Yeah. Relics is saying, what is the radio station for, I think, space beings?
I don't. It's very
I don't
high
think there's,
pitched.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very high pitched, and it feels like electrical buzzing.
Hmm. We'll bring one more person up here on Encounters. This is Encounters. And again, we had over 4,000 people tonight. We've been on here for 1 hour and 57 minutes. Jim, welcome to Encounters.
Hey, Commander, how are you doing?
We're doing great. I hope you are too.
I am. I'm just trying to figure out because I'm religious, so where does
Hmm.
Christ fit into all this?
I love the question, and we love the people that love the Christ thing. So, the space people, Jesus Christ, from a non religious perspective, and I grew up with different religions, I studied many religions, including Christianity. But on the non religious aspects, Jesus is real. Jesus is always about love. We've talked about Jesus in discussions on our program here, but from a non religious perspective, he is actually a space being, although in religious context, they wouldn't know that that's true because the parables and the things written about him are basically kind of encoded with secrecy. There's not a lot of information about that. But he actually is a space being. He came here like a star seed to help people on the earth. People either loved him or the ones that didn't love him were the people that were religious that wanted to throw stones at him. So he actually is a light being, and people in the community that we deal with, not just UFO community, that's why it's a spiritual UFO show, the star people, the people that are star seed, all these different names we call it. The space people that come from a higher vibrational frequency are Christ conscious beings. Jesus himself is a Christ conscious being, but all of us here on the show here, I can't speak for everybody, but most people know Jesus as being a very beautiful soul, very loving soul, and that comes from a very non 3D, non religious perspective. So I love the question, Jim, because even when I talk about Christ consciousness, it relates to the very aspect of light. Starseer knows it, most of the audience knows it, and Jesus travels through the universe as he can come to Earth when he wants to. He travels all over the multiverse, so he's not limited by a
Yes.
3D concept.
Yes, I believe that too. He travels all
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he does.
Um,
He has no blockage. Yeah.
do you think that I don't know how to say this. do you think that he has something to do with all this? Which of course he does, right?
Oh, he does. He has, in terms of, I can take that question as a very open question. So Jesus has a lot to do with everything in terms of what's going to happen. He oversees the galactic groupings of people, of space people, before contact happens. Jesus is going to be there for contact. When we have contact on Earth, and I never really talked about that part of it, but people will see Jesus as he is, which is not this person holding a cross or a star in his with a whatever. He's going to come on planet when that happens, whenever he decides to do that, with a grouping of many, many space people from other planets, and he basically oversees the whole thing. He
Well,
oversees the whole.
do you think the second coming is coming soon?
Well, now I'm going to decode the second coming, which is a word that was put in by people in the earlier days. So here's the decoding. I've never had to do this before, but I'm going to love doing this. So the second coming of Christ in a non-religious thing, and this is going to be great, is that is the coming of direct contact with the people of Earth. So the second coming, translated into a galactic cosmic decodement, is the second coming is Jesus Christ, and the Christed beings of light from other planetary worlds are that second coming. Now, if you go to a church and say that to somebody, and there's 400 people, and you get up and say, Pastor, could I say this? And tell them what I'm going to say. The pastor might say, get out of here. You can't say that. But if I went up in front of 400 people in a church or a mosque or whatever and said, the second coming is not what you think it is. It's the liberation of consciousness, and it is the fact that we all now will be coming, take care of Jesus for life, we're all now going to be becoming awakened in our Christ consciousness. That's what the second coming is. So that's my decodement of the early writings of that. I've now decoded it over the years, and that's what the second coming is.
I think, well, we're gonna differ on this because
Yeah,
I
all
think
semantics,
the second
but
coming is like Noah's Ark, same thing. He's
Same
gonna
thing.
wipe out the earth and start over again.
And and if you take that, now we can decode that, what that actually means in galactic terms. What we're having is the old Earth, which is the way we are now with the wars and all this stuff going on. The wiping out of the old, the ending of the Earth, is the beginning of the new Earth. So we're not like destroying an Earth. We're actually ending a vibrational pattern. And now we're taking that Noah's Ark concept, and this Noah's Ark is going to be basically the encodement of a new Earth. We're not going to another planet. This planet's going to become what they call renewed as a new Earth. So we're letting go of the old and bringing in the new. It's like, how we go from winter and we say, oh, I wish we would get to spring. Now the flowers are coming up and all these really beautiful birds are flying around, which they are. And you see all these beautiful flowers come back. So the cycle of life changes. So that Noah's Ark concept, it's really much more semantics than it is anything else. But that Noah's Ark is really the ark of the new Earth, and the old Earth. We're going to just leave the old Earth. We'll have it in our history books galactically, like the Akashic Records. We say, oh, remember when the Earth was like this back 20,000 years ago?
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying, Jim. I think it's all more semantics, but it's all coming to the same place.
Yeah. How do you think the rebirth of the Earth will come?
It's going to come with I think the basic rebirth is going to be when our consciousness shifts. And every day, even though it seems, when you look at the Earth and if you watch some of the news, everything looks like it's falling apart. But in essence, everything that is old has to fall apart in order for something new to come apart. So if you keep an old dilapidated building on a piece of property, it's going to keep dilapidating. But if you take the old dilapidated building away and you plant flowers and create a new structure, that old building doesn't exist anymore. Now you have this beautiful structure. You have the flowers growing. You have the soil producing. I think that's the way our consciousness is. Everything's going to come from mass consciousness, and that's how we will evolve as a species on the planet.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it all comes from God too, because God, Jim, obviously created everything: the bees, the seals, the dolphins, us, and everything is just has a beautiful synergy of change. And I think one of the things I truly believe from a spiritual perspective of God is God creates everything. God does never destroy anything. When we have things destroyed, it always has been from this earth reality, our creation of nuclear weapons that we exploded. So we created those things from our perception of reality through our consciousness. But we are shifting as much as it seems like we're not. I see more people shifting in this environment of my program, and I love people that have a very beautiful understanding of the concept of the Creator, of Jesus, from a very non-religious perspective. It gives a lot of clarity, and so I can talk about Christ consciousness 24 hours a day because I operate in that frequency of love.
Well, let's face it, man is destroying themselves.
Basically, yeah,
We just
right.
are.
Yeah,
We
we
are.
are.
I hate to
And I
not.
want to give a shout out to Kaylee. I see you.
I hate to
Yeah, I
not.
want you guys to talk.
I'm gonna hop down. My dog.
Okay,
He's
I'd like to do that.
my energy gauge, and she'll come tell me
Energy.
when I'm done.
I kind of knew it. My cat walked out of here, so she was kind of saying hello. Kelly, thanks again for being here.
Yeah.
You've been a blessing, and we'll see you again soon.
Okay. All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye, Kelly. Take care, and let's do this here.
Thank you for your
And
time, Commander. I appreciate you.
Jim, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and you brought up some great points, and you gave me a chance to kind of talk about that. So I'm really happy about that. So I thank you, man.
I appreciate your insight on that. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you too. We're gonna let Jim go down. It's now about what time is it? 1:10 in the morning. Before I get on here for too many hours, someone Ricky says, could accept God if you met him in an ET forum. Well, we're all extensions of God, so I understand the question. So we're all basically extraterrestrial, even though we live on Earth. Let's see here. Thank you, Sonia, for right now. I have to go through. I think I have like over 3 years. I've had all these mods, and I'm not able to. I have too many mods, so it says I have too many mods. I'll weed out the ones that aren't doing moderation anymore at some point. But Ricky says I met them through Brother. Beautiful. Dax, thank you for the gift. So, folks, I'm going to download the rest of my shows from the last 2 or 3 nights. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to also have people please follow on my profile. Press the red button on your screen if you're not following me, and press the like button too. So I want to thank all the audience for being here around the world. You've been great. All the questions. I really hope that everybody has a good Thursday. I also want to say I love you all, even if I don't know all of you. I love every one of you. And be good to each other. Be the light that you are. And let's see, Ricky Marsh. I didn't say anything whether I believe you or not believe you. I'm just saying good night on the show here. So I don't know why that coming up with a comment like that when I didn't even broach the subject. All right. So everybody have a great night. And again, be positive. If you're not going to be positive, meditate, figure out why you're being negative, work it out. Once you get it together, you'll be good. All right. Take care, everybody. We're going to say good night and go off planet.